Repeating decimals to fractions. This is a digital lesson that walks students through the steps of changing a repeating decimal to a fraction. So this can be a difficult lesson to teach. However, this digital lesson just walks them through the steps. So you want to go through this first with the students. So step 1 is to set your repeating decimal equal to x. So you're creating an equation. Step 2, you're going to multiply both sides of the equation by a power of 10. And you want to explain to the students that if there's only one digit that repeats, you're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 10 to the first power. If two numbers repeat, you're going to multiply both sides by 10 to the second power, and so on. So it depends on how many numbers repeat. And here's an example of how to do that. So there's only one number that repeats, so we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 10 to the first power, or 10. And then explain to the students that when you multiply a decimal by 10, it just moves the decimal point one place to the right. Step 3, you're going to subtract x from both sides of the equation. Now this can be a tricky part because on the left-hand side of the equation, you're just going to subtract 1x. On the right hand of the equation, you're going to substitute x for 5500ths repeating, because we know that x equals 5500ths with 5 repeating. And the next slide will show them how this works. So on the left, we subtract 1x, we get 9x. On the right, we subtract that 5500ths, and we end up with a whole number 5. Now we can solve this algebraically, and we get an answer of 5/9. Now you're going to give an example to the students, and this is going to show them exactly what they have to do when they're doing this on their own. So we have all of these white text boxes students are going to type in each step. So the first thing they're going to do, we have a different problem here. We're going to change 8800ths with 8 repeating to a fraction. So they're going to type in the text box, x equals 8800ths. And this is already done. You're just showing the students exactly what they need to do. And then it's going to ask them how many digits repeat. And they're going to put that same number here as their exponent. They're going to have to fill in all of these boxes. First, just the second half of the equation. Multiply by a power of 10. Well, if this is 10 to the first power, they're just multiplying by 10. If this were 10 to the second power, they would type 100 in here. And 10 to the third power, they would type in 1,000, and so on. Now, once they do the multiplication here, they get 10x. And again, that decimal point is just going to move one place to the right, and they get 8 and 8800ths with that 8 repeating. On the next slide, they're going to subtract x from both sides. Here they'll get 9x, 10x minus 1x. And here, when they subtract, they're just going to end up with a whole number 8. So they get 9x equals 8. And here, if they divide both sides by 9, they're going to get x equals fraction of 8/9. Now they're going to do this on their own. So here they have 3600ths. They're going to type in their equation, type in how many digits repeat. That will be their exponent. And they're just going to fill in all the other steps. If they forget how it's done, all they have to do is go back and look at the previous slides to see the examples. So they have a couple of these to do. And then they're going to be given a challenge problem. If they're ready for this, here they have three digits that repeat. So they're going to figure out this one all on their own, following the same steps. Now, the final slide is pretty simple, but it just reinforces for the students what they do first, second, third, and fourth. So they're going to drag and drop each of these next to a number, depending on what they do first, second, third, and fourth. So to drag and drop, they just click on the edge, and then they can move it wherever they like. So that is a digital lesson of changing repeating decimals to fractions.